Now we are off to our last dimension. Very, very important. And it needs a lot of thought. It's not something which we think about ourselves regularly. It's about personal branding. Um, and imagine, and these questions usually come towards the very end of the interview. Um, the very end of the interview is also very important, as important as the start of the interview. The start of the interview is about creating an impression, first impression. The body of the interview, the middle sections, let's say they feel that you have the functional skills, you're good at culture as well. Now it's about you to sell yourself, and for them to remember you, right, as you. So this part is about, you got all your bragging rights. You can brag about yourself, but be smart about it. And why I say be smart about it, I'll tell you in a bit, because it can get very tricky. Let's go into what are the typical prompts. The typical prompts for personal selling questions are: what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Seems very simple question. What are your strengths? People are usually shied away by weakness. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell them my weakness. Not gonna hire me. That's natural. But the strength, and people are like naive. They just say, okay, you know what? I'll tell my strength. My strength is I have a lot of attention to detail. My strength is I'm very planned. X, Y, Z. That's where the trick is. You want to be smart about it. You want to brag. You want to impress them, but you want to be smart about it. Now, why smart is here. See that where I say technique. So what is the technique to correct this? So you go in their job scan report. You refer to the soft skills, and now you don't want to you want to highlight, you want to see, okay, you want to pick what are your strengths, right? Let's say time management is essential for this job. It's coming out as one of the essential skills, right? Or attention to detail is essential. Pick three. Your job is to, in the next step, is to share three project or roles that focus on the use of these skills. So essentially what I'm saying is, you think your strength is time management? When they ask you what are your three strengths, my strength is time management. That's how you answer. You have to give them some evidence. What evidence is? Because anybody else can say that. The evidence is, in the past, as I've told you, in the past, I have worked project X, which was all about time management. We had to complete the sale of the plant in 2 months, right? The challenges were the bidding process, took 1 month already, whatsoever. Don't go in a lot of detail, but refer to the project, right? And it's always good to refer to a project which you discussed in the functional skills part, because they already know the detail. You have walked through the STAR method, right? So for example, Yashwant talked about project management and the SME example, the project. He can always tie up time management into this project, because effective project management needs time management skills as well. So Yashwant can, I already discussed with you that project in which time management was critical. And one of my strengths of time management was help. It helped me to deliver the project successfully, right? So you want to refer to the projects, so that you're not just bragging just for the sake of bragging. You're just saying something which has some evidence, right? So share three projects. Um, and align it well, pair it well. Now, the most trickiest part, weakness. You will be asked this question in two ways. Describe your weakness. What's your weakness? Or what's your development area? What's your area for development? Or what was the last developmental feedback that you received? They're asking the same thing, right? What is your weakness? Now, you can have any weakness, you can tell them any weakness, but here's the trick. If you, and I'll go a little bit deep down here. If you have applied for a job as an accountant, for what I know, needs a lot of attention to detail because that's why people hire accountants, right? Now, if your weakness is attention to detail, or if you feel that that's not your favorite part of the job, don't highlight that. Because if you highlight that this is not your, because you've been an accountant, you've done 5 jobs in accounting, right? So I can believe that you are a good accountant. You don't like the attention to detail part because it bores you down. I get that. But the question here is not about what bores you down. The question is, what's your weakness? And if you say, well, my weakness is attention to detail because I just can't concentrate for a long period of time, it's a showstopper. Because the critical skill job scan is telling you that attention to detail is critical for accountant. And once a candidate says, I don't like attention to detail, I'm not for it, basically you're just saying to them that don't hire me because I don't have that critical skill or I don't enjoy that skill. So be cognizant of this. Share them any development area or weakness which doesn't handicap you for delivering the essential job functions which you can get from the job scan report. I assume everybody has got that message. This is one of the most important things which people, even, people Google it, what's my weakness? And they tell the can kind of weakness. I'm a perfectionist. I just like perfection. I've heard this a lot of times, right? And I know what Google is saying this person, and this person just read it. Fine, you did your homework, but you got to be smart about when you're doing your homework. You don't want to tell the other person who's hiring an accountant that you don't like attention to detail. No, right? So that's why you got to be smart. You're going to pick a development area which doesn't hamper your candidacy for this role which you're applying for. Pick something which is remotely far, which is remote, which is a remote idea to this job. If you're talking about accountant, let's say I feel that I'm not very, I'm risk averse. I don't like to take risks. Well, that's fine. Accountants, if you're an accountant, you would be the last person to advocate that the company should risk some money because you want to keep a track of everything, right? Or uncertainty. You kind of like don't enjoy uncertainty that well because accountants record facts, right? They want everything penned down. So unlike marketers who create dreams, who say, well, if we're going to launch this product, it's going to sell X and Y, we will have 50 million revenue, but that's if, right? So that's how, think about that. That's how hiring team thinks. Time for this section, 30 seconds for each strength is more than enough. So if they ask you 3 strengths, 1.5 minutes for the total response time, 30 seconds each for each strength or weakness. If they ask you a number, like 3 strengths, then tell them 3 strengths. If they ask you what's your strength, mention 1 strength. Same thing. If they give you a number, match that number, but don't exceed that number.